Welcome back to another episode of your new favorite sports show, Gas Presents Sports for the Culture. I'm your host today. Y'all see the name at Bryce XXV. Double I. As always, I got the dream team with me. Leonardo, Donatello, Michelangelo. Bottom right, introduce yourself.
Hey man, it's your boy Rome, Young Rome 22 on all the socials, man. My background looking a little different, Ain't no Redskins gear if I'm allowed to say the R word still. But we're gonna keep it pushing, man. We're gonna keep it pushing. We got another great episode, man. Let's get it, fellas.
Let's get it. Hey man, RIP to the Washington Redskins. Bottom left, introduce yourself.
Hey, look, man, it's T Boogie. I don't know if I'm a Ninja Turtle, man. My pops wasn't no rat, but I'm here. I'm glad to be here. Welcome back, everybody. Stay clean, stay safe as always, man. And let's go.
Yeah, I feel you though, man. Master Splinter was the ultimate rat. Top right, Scruff Lion. Introduce yourself.
Yes, sir. Y'all know what time it is. Scruff Lion, Good Ass Sports. I want to give a special shout out to my little homie, just committed to Georgetown, women's basketball. Kalia Myrick, shout out to squad. Takes a village. Shout out to everybody that was a part of that. Also, while I got your attention, go ahead and arrest the police officers that killed Breonna Taylor, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We can't stop saying that. We can't stop saying that until it's done. All right, let's get into it, fellas. Hey, a lot of news to get into. Where to start? Why not start with what we already kind of mentioned, man? RIP to the Redskins. But even further, let's get into this Daniel Snyder stuff, man. I mean, I don't think anybody would argue with the fact that Daniel Snyder has been a terrible owner over these 20 years. And I mean, I don't even want to necessarily say a terrible owner, but let's just say, I mean, he was a terrible owner, but it goes deeper than that. You know, we've heard stories about the dysfunction. We've seen it on the field, but we've heard these stories behind the scenes. I mean, when if it was the cheerleader scandal that you guys know about, if it was the time where it came out in the article that he was making his neighbors call him sir. I mean, who does that, man? Like, you know, call me Mr. Snyder to your neighbors, like, you know, and small things like that. But I don't know, man. I mean, I'm gonna toss this to Rome first. Let's just get some initial reactions on this latest news coming out of Washington.
Man, Bryce, you know just as well as I do, man. Covering the Redskins and being fans, we were waiting like a week for this news to drop, man. All the beat reporters were hinting at something that was going to be real bad, real horrible. And when it finally dropped, man, it definitely lived up to all the pre-hype. To hear that there was all this going on from 2006 to 2019 is beyond disturbing, man. I mean, nobody needs to go through that in the workplace. Nobody should be subjected to what these women went through. I read the article in the Post, man, and it's just horrible. Some of them were reporters. Some of them were even female reporters just simply trying to do their job. You know what I mean? Like, and you have executives like slapping you on the butt and saying all kinds of crazy stuff, like when you gonna date me or when you gonna go on a date with me, and all kinds of ridiculousness. And all you're trying to do is cover the team. That's all you're trying to do, and you got all this going on. So I mean, you mentioned it, man. Snyder's terrible, bro. Like, there's no way that you're the owner of the team, you know, and all this is going on, and you don't know about it or you're not involved in it in some way. The Post did not mention him being involved. I don't want to act like I'm implicating him or something, but being the owner of the team, the buck stops with you. So you should have done something or had something in place to prevent this or stop this. They even mentioned how there was no real HR. There was no real HR to go to. The HR was apparently one person who also had another job title. So obviously that person couldn't even really address a situation because they probably just didn't even have the time, or at least not to address it seriously. So the whole thing is just bogus. They are moving in the right direction. They made some steps today. They hired Julie Donaldson, who's a local reporter. Anyone who follows her knows the work that she's done. She's definitely gonna help right the ship with Ron Rivera. But man, to hear what was going on from 06 to 2019, man, it's sickening, man.
Nah, I couldn't agree more, bro. I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head, man. It's deplorable, man. You got, on top of everything that's ever gone on with the Washington franchise, you know, you add on the fact that there's sexual misconduct going on in the workplace. I mean, it's just like, what more can you add on? You know, it's just like this is just, I want to say it's shocking, but it's really, it almost didn't even surprise me when I heard what the allegations were, especially like you said, Rome, with the anticipation of the news as it was being, hyped by all the media members. And I mean, it's crazy that it came to that, but at the same time, the fact that I'm not surprised, like, T, what do you think that says about the franchise, that someone's not surprised about that news?
I think it shows you how toxic of a culture, how toxic of an organization it is. I mean, I was really expecting something of this magnitude. I know if you were on Twitter, rumors were ablaze, and you were probably expecting something a lot more. But at the end of the day, I mean, it's still vile, despicable stuff. This is still the same behavior that sparked the whole Me Too movement. And the fact that everybody seemed to know what the story was before the story dropped kind of lets you know that this is what the Redskins are. This is what they have been. You've seen, leadership starts at the top and it trickles down. And you've seen the product on the field. And, whether you had good draft picks and good players, somehow Skins always manage to mess it up. And it starts at Snyder. So no, I'm not surprised at all.
Yeah, I mean, and that just goes to the point, man. It's shocking, man. Scruff, man, sound off on this. What did you think about it, man?
Honestly, basically to echo what y'all saying, I'm not surprised either. T, you hit it on the head. Exactly what I was going to say. You're talking about an organizational. Basically, it trickles down from the top. Culture. You have a bad culture right now, and ultimately, that is a reflection upon the leadership. Quote: "Remember the Titans. Attitude reflects leadership, Captain." So, Captain Daniel Snyder, you need to get this ship right. And honestly, the best way for you to get the ship right is for you to go ahead and jump up off of that ship. I'm gonna be honest. You feel me? I've seen crappy leadership groups. I've seen plenty of them throughout my time watching sports, and I've seen some of them closely locally here. We've had a whole, fiascos after fiascos within organizations, and I've seen bad organizations. And somebody made the comment about James Dolan. That's actually very accurate. Honestly, the New York Knicks are probably one of the worst run organizations in the world. And now they finally are on the direction of finally starting to turn things over by bringing in the right kind of people. And ultimately, I think that's what Washington would need to do if they're trying to get this thing right. And the easiest way is to get rid of Snyder. Otherwise, Snyder just needs to get out of the way, ultimately.
Yeah, no. I mean, you bring up my next point, man. The next question I was going to get to is, do you all think it's time for a change? You see, shout out to Melo Ragu, man. He's comparing Washington Redskins to the New York Knicks of the NFL. I think the Skins have had a little more success than the Knicks, but at the same time, it's a valid comparison. And do you guys think that Daniel Snyder, the NFL should be taking some action against Daniel Snyder to force his hand in the sale of the franchise? Rome, I'm throwing it to you first.
All right, so this is the thing. Your question was, should they do something to force him to sell the franchise? The answer to that question is yes. The answer to the question of will they is absolutely not. There will likely be any action at all taken by the NFL. I'll be surprised if there is. If there is action taken by the NFL, it'll be because fans or media are putting some type of pressure on them because we're sick of these type of stories happening. But I don't see the NFL doing anything like this because, truth be told, a lot of female reporters were on Twitter speaking up once these other female reporters spoke out, pretty much saying that it's not just Washington where these sexual allegation type things happen. You got other sports leagues that are male dominated and all these kind of things are going on. So really, it just speaks to how terrible Dan Snyder is, and because he got caught, he got it out there. He got all this stuff is happening to him. Whereas, there's probably other owners and other teams who have situations going on where there's not these type of leaks or these things aren't getting out. But reality is this: it's probably happening with a lot of other teams, and they probably don't want to open Pandora's box. They probably don't want to try to kick Snyder out for this because then he's going to start pointing fingers back. So who knows? But I highly doubt that the league will take any action.
Yeah, and I tend to agree with you on that, man. I think that especially when Snyder came out and hired the lawyer, and it seems that the league's not going to have their own investigation for this, and the Redskins are going to be able to just do their own investigation in house, and the league will go off those findings. I
Yeah,
mean,
I mean,
it's an elite club, man. T, go ahead, bro.
you know the guy's only going to get a fine, right? And I don't even think it's a question of should he sell the team or should he be forced to sell. You can't really bully a billionaire. You know what I mean? Like you have to start taking away money from his pockets to make a move. And this one, like you said, he's investigating himself. This one won't move it. That's the culture of probably half the teams in the NFL, like Rome said. So I feel like the timing of this is kind of funny. Where after 3 days of the name change stuff, now the Washington Post runs this report. I think it's kind of funny that this stuff, they decided to run it now, right? 15 women came forward. They didn't say when they came forth, from what I read. So the why, and now I think everyone's tired of it. I think the Washington Post saw a time to kind of stick a knife in his back, and it's time for him to go, but he won't go. And honestly, if the world had to leave jobs because they were bad at jobs, there'd be a lot more GoFundMe's out here, man. It's a lot of people bad at their jobs. I'm a 49ers fan. Our owner was bad at his job. He hired the right people. I don't know if Snyder would do that, but I mean, there's hope, man. We've seen franchises turn around, and the name change is the start. And I'm not a fan, so I don't care if he gets another chance or not. But I think this kind of reboots the organization.
Hey, to be fair, I do think that he is putting the right people in place now. I think Ron is going to right the ship. There's been some other front office hires, but time will tell. He's got to stay out of the way.
Facts. I mean, that's that. I think when you're talking about allegations as serious as these, and T, you made some good points, man. And I just think like this goes back to what Scruff said earlier too. This is a reflection of the top trickling down to the bottom. And even if we do hire the right people in Washington, because I am a fan, right? If Dan Snyder is still in his meddling ways, I think we'll always run into these similar issues. So it seems like Scrub, you're definitely on board with getting Dan up out of there, huh?
Yeah, I mean, he probably run an organization. Unfortunately, it's like Rome said, but he's not. Nothing's going to be forced removal. If he's going to remove himself, it's going to be because he decided to. Unless he comes out here and does like a Steve Ballmer type situation, you know what I'm saying? He's not getting forcibly removed for anything. He got to do something egregious. Like, well, I mean, not that like sexual allegations are not egregious, but like I'm talking about like you got to really.
He would have had to be accused. He would have had to be accused of it. The fact that he wasn't directly accused, he's gonna skate. Is wrong. It honestly, as a fan, it sickens me. But it is what it is, man. We've been living with Daniel Snyder since 2000, or 99. So here we are.
Think about this, man. This is the same guy that I think it's the Times and New York Times ran a report that the Redskins sent their cheerleaders to Costa Rica, took all their passports, forced them to pretty much be escorts to a nightclub, and kind of forced them to have a topless photo shoot where there's all these like season ticket holder type guys around watching. So we know what this organization is. I don't really want to make light of it, but like you said, it's no surprise, and it's got to go, to be honest with
you. Hey, man, I'm to the point where I think I'm on board with y'all, man. I think Daniel Snyder got to go. And T, you made the point about the Washington Post earlier. I think Jeff Bezos had his hand in that, man. I think Bezos trying to sprinkle some of that Amazon up onto the Washington franchise, man.
Little billionaire beef.
Little billionaire beef. And the billionaire beefs get nasty because they playing with different type of money. They coming from different type of angles. So if that was from Bezos, that's a chess move.
Yeah.
Amazon stock up crazy right now. He got the money for it. We know that.
The Washington Amazons. All right, man. Let's stop beating up on my team, man. Let's keep it pushing. Let's talk about something a little more exciting, man. We got basketball coming back real soon. We got before that, we got the awards, man. So let's get into it, fellas. I know y'all are chopping at the bit for this. I'm gonna start with Scruff, man. Let's get into it, man. Who's your MVP, man?
All right, I'm gonna keep it simple, man. I'm going with the most valuable player. You feel me? What does that mean to me? That means the most valuable player, legitimately. So it ain't about most wins, you know. And ultimately, I know it's a regular season award and whatever. But as a voter, I am not gonna get beat twice by Giannis regular season only Antetokounmpo. So I am not about that. I am not about that. We're going with LeBron James for the MVP award in my opinion, and I'll tell you why. The main reason why is because he got basically more or less, you could say, people didn't get dethroned, because to me the only way you can truly get dethroned is when you got beat by, you got to beat the king to be the king, as they say. So ultimately he didn't get dethroned. He had a missing opportunity. It was open throne, and Kawhi clawed his way in there. But I'm curious to see what LeBron gonna do. And I like his odds. Honestly, I know he's not gonna leave us empty in the playoffs. But what he did this season, coming back after the injury, the Lakers were you could say the best team in the league easily, and integrated all those pieces together. And he was pretty much point guard in the squad, playing. In my opinion, he's been the point forward forever, but he was literally the point guard of this whole team, putting everything together. Literally, the glue that kept this franchise together. And they were great franchise this season. So that's my MVP, LeBron, and he deserves it this year.
Hey, man, I said on the same show and said one day Bron's going to run for president. So I'm backing you on that MVP vote. T, man, I know you're a little bit more old school. You're not the biggest Bron fan. Who you got for MVP?
Giannis, the Greek freak, hands down the best player in the league, man. Best two-way player in the league. You might want to consider Kawhi up there, but Giannis did it on both sides of the ball. He had the best team in the league. He had the best defensive team in the league. The guy guards 1 through 5. He's the MVP. I don't know how you can go LeBron. He's not even the best player on his team. He's not the best player in that city. Like you said, Kawhi is the guy right now. So LeBron did something that's very impressive. Was he 17 years in? Congratulations, but you're not the MVP.
Bryce, man, jump in on this.
All right, man. Well, I'm torn, man, because Scruff's making some good points. T just made some good points, and I think what it comes down to is the fact that the MVP is a regular season award. I always believe that MVP should be given at the very end of at least the playoffs. Going into the championship, the playoffs, especially early playoffs, should count towards his MVP race, because we don't really know what's what. Scruff, you bring up a good point. Giannis regular season Antetokounmpo. But end of the day, man, his team, he's literally the most value. If you're talking about value, how much value he brings to his squad, is no one like it right now in the league. He does everything for that team, man. He does everything for that team. If he doesn't do it, this is how it really goes. If he doesn't do it, they're not getting the dub, because he has to do it all for that team to be successful. And that's why I got to give him the MVP for this season. So my vote's Giannis.
Ooh, okay. So we got 2 Giannis's right now, man. Scruff, you got any rebuttals for that, man? Everybody seems to be not on the Bron train.
That's okay. If y'all wanna live in a regular season, y'all can have them empty stats. Feel me? But if y'all want actually get right, you feel me? Then y'all know what time it is. When the push come to shove, and Giannis actually wins something, or actually, honestly, it's not even thing about Giannis that really disappointed me. I would give him my vote again, but I because he was unanimously my MVP last season, but I'm not gonna go and give him the vote again this year, because it's not even just that he lost, because dudes have MVP runs and go out like G's, but he didn't go out like a G. He went out like he just did not, like, he was like a shell of himself. And then I seen like a European team do it to him. So I don't know. I don't got that kind of respect for him no more.
Hey, I feel you on
He
that.
does it on a big level.
Hey, look, I'm not going as far as T saying that Giannis is the best player in the league, because I definitely do not believe that. I don't even believe he's top 3 if I start breaking it down.
No, that's crazy.
But I will say, Hey, we might have to jump into that because I don't know.
Yeah, so you don't have him top 3, but you got him MVP though.
I will say he's the MVP for this season.
Exactly.
I give him MVP for this season. He's the most valuable player because to me, it's not. If it was best player in the league, in my opinion, Bron get the dub for that. Like best player in the league, give Bron the trophy, in my opinion. But we're talking most valuable to your team this season is Giannis.
T, man, you seem like you're not moving off that Giannis hill, bro.
I'm not at all, man. Let's talk turkey, man. LeBron averaged 25 points, 8 rebounds, 10 assists. That's damn near close to a triple-double. 35 minutes a game. That's cool. Giannis, 30 minutes, 30 points, 13 rebounds, 6 assists. The guy was the team. I mean, 13 rebounds. Come on, man. That puts him in the I don't know stats off the top of my head, but I think that puts him in the top 3 or 4. Probably only Drummond's ahead of him. But at the end of the day, what the Bucks were doing was with give Anthony Davis to Giannis, and you're looking at a 72-10 team. Like Giannis is playing with the Lopez brothers. LeBron constantly gets to pick all these superstars to play against, and then you call Giannis Mr. Regular Season. I mean, he might be Mr. Playoffs if he had that supporting cast. But I'm gonna let y'all rock, man, because they get ready to play in the bubble, and I think y'all bubble gonna get burst. Pun getting crazy.
Ain't no bubble gonna get burst, man. My man Giannis, bro, give him space, and y'all see what he is really.
All right, we definitely gonna see what's popping in that bubble here in a week, man. But let's keep it pushing with the awards, man. Like, who y'all got for Rookie of the Year? I think this one is easy in my opinion, but I'm interested to hear who y'all got. Bryce, man, I'm gonna have you kick this one off, bro.
Man, look, I don't care what nobody say. There's no change in my mind. Zion Williamson is the Rookie of the Year, man. You're not moving me off this hill. Look, Ja is that dude. And if I'm really keeping it 100, man, I'm judging off what Zion brought to the game. We're going off stats alone. I think, hey, you might even have to look at a co-MVP. A unanimous Rookie of the Year. But co-Rookie of the Year. But same time, I don't know. If you're going off strictly off stats, I'd say Ja. I mean, Ja played the entire season. What did Zion get? 28 games maybe to show what he had. But in that short stretch of time, I feel like Zion showed that he's going to be a superstar, and he might already be. I'm pretty blown about his status right now with the bubble and all that stuff. I don't know what's going on if he'll be able to suit up once the action starts. But Zion is a superstar, and I mean, Ja could possibly be a superstar as well. But if I really got to do it, I got to go co. I got to go co-Rookie of the Year. I want to give it to Zion. I got to go co-Rookie of the Year, man.
Because you started this saying you weren't gonna get moved off the Zion hill, man. But I'm
looking at the stats. I'm like, Ja's balling, man. Ja's balling. He's doing it all season. I think that's the thing. It's like Zion's got such a small sample size. Just to give it to him like that, I don't know if it. I mean, you got to respect what Ja's done. I don't know.
Hey, I said it would be easy, man. I thought it was going to be obviously Ja. T, man, you ready, man? Jump in.
Now, I'm going to go ahead and say we can't give it to Zion because of that small sample size, man. You can't show up to work on Monday and call out the rest of the week and get Employee of the Month. Like, come on, man. It's
real.
I'm going to give it to Ja. Like you said, it should be unanimous. But if I had to give it to anybody else, it would be Roy Hachimura. I think I said his name right, man. He came to DC. He came to DC, and I ain't see him in the club. I ain't see him at a table. You know what I'm saying? He was on the straight and narrow. That's a tough thing to do in this city, man. So if it's not Ja, I'm gonna give it to my man Roy. But I think on a serious note, Ja is one of the most electrifying players in the league as a rookie. What he's doing on that Grizzlies team that people didn't even expect to compete is nothing less than amazing. If you watch his highlights, man, the guy jump in the air, and you could tell he doesn't even know what to do with the ball. And in a split second, man, he'll dish it off or he'll create some sort of finish. I mean, it's just exciting stuff, man. It's the stuff that the youth want to see. So it's Ja all the way, man.
Word.
If money talks, though. Money talks.
Yeah, money talks. But if John Morant is not your rookie of the year, then your whole argument for LeBron James not being the MVP just doesn't make sense. But we're gonna stay on this segment right here. So rookie of the year, my vote goes to John Morant, and you're right, Rome. It is easy. I'll tell you why, because he's about to make he's on pace to be in the playoffs right now, barring some amazing stuff happening, and that's Zion's opportunity. It won't matter if Zion makes playoffs. Then shoot, man, maybe I'll change my vote later. But Ja did it all season with a Memphis team that was pretty much on the verge of rebuilding. They had the best player was a point guard. They drafted a point guard and they traded him out, and then this dude came in and they got him right there in the playoffs the next year in the West. There's just no light feet. Everybody want to talk about Trae Young being so great, and I love Trae Young, but Trae Young putting up hollow numbers on a team that doesn't win any games, and he's in the Eastern Conference. And this kid, John Morant, did it in the first year. He's putting up good numbers on a good team, and honestly, he is the reason the team is doing so well. So I got to give him. He checks all the boxes for me. He's my rookie of the year unanimously.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with that point, Scrub. He is the reason. One thing I will say real quick about Zion, man, is since he's got to the Pelicans, he's made them relevant. Like they were not. I mean, he's the reason they on the way to the bubble. Let's be honest. I mean, he came in and they started getting W's.
It wasn't really. I mean, it wasn't just him though. Like there was a lot of young players on that team that took steps forward.
It was. But once he came, once he started shooting up.
Brandon Ingram is looking at a most improved. Drew Holiday is a dog. Lonzo Ball took his game, fixed his jump shot. I thought I'd never see it, fix his jump shot. But Zion is that centerpiece. But he can't be rookie of the year, nothing like that. Not yet.
All right, so I think we all agree. Is quite obviously Ja. But no shade towards Zion, man. You just didn't get enough games in before COVID hit. But let's keep it pushing, man. Now we're really going to test some knowledge here, man. We're going to get into defensive player of the year, man. Let's start with T on this one, bro.
Oh, back to me. Perfect. I'm gonna just throw the numbers at you real quick because the guy is Giannis, and he's going to be one of those select few guys that should have the MVP and defensive MVP in the same year. And we talked about Zion, right? What did Zion do when he played Giannis? 1 for 7. Dominated everybody else. 1 for 7. What about Ben Simmons? That's your guy, bro. What you think he did?
My guy.
0 for 1. 0 for 1. He got one shot off. Bryce, you're a Raptors guy. Pascal Siakam. He fared the best, and it was still less than 50%. 7 for 16. I'm gonna throw one more at you. Anthony Davis, the best player on the Lakers, 3 for 12. 3 for 12. Matched up 1-on-1 versus Giannis, man. These guys can't score. You got to score on Giannis, pick and roll. You got to get off of them. You got to move players around. I've heard him described as a apex predator. And I agree. If you're the MVP and the defensive MVP, if you give this guy supporting cast, I'll say it, I'll die on that hill. We wouldn't be having a discussion about who's the greatest, who's the best. He is the heart and soul of that team.
All right, that is a pretty convincing argument. Scruff, man, who you got for defensive player of the year?
All right, I'm keeping it real with y'all, man. I was about to come in and hit y'all with some left field vote, but that was a pretty good argument. So I'm going to reserve my left field vote, and I'm going to actually vote for Giannis as well.
He just
honestly, the stats back you though. The stats back you. If you look at defensive rating for teams, the Bucks they're number 1 and they held that way all season. You look at defensive win share percentages. You look at the plus minus. You look at the rebounding, and then the individual matchups is really what sold me because I was going to try to find a flaw in the stats somewhere, but that's pretty legit. I'll give it to Giannis. But I will say this, and I want to put out an honorable mention to Ben Simmons because I think, honestly, he might not really get no true consideration. I see people winking their eyebrows, but he should get consideration for this award. And I wouldn't be surprised when it comes down to it. We'll see when the votes come out. He will get some first-place votes for this award this year.
No, he's been strapping up.
All right, Bryce, who you got for defensive player of the year?
Nah, first I will say, Scrub, Ben Simmons has definitely been playing. He's been strapping up this season from what I've seen. But I gotta go with Giannis, man. To me, Giannis, it might be as good on defense as he is on offense. Like honestly, he might even be a little better on defense right now. I mean, Apex Predator is right. Giannis is getting chased down blocks every night. He's playing the middle of the he's playing the lane every night. Like he's not just playing the perimeter, he's playing the lane for the Bucks too. And he's defending the rim every night. I mean, he's getting steals every night. He's doing the things that he does every single night. And it's like, wow, this guy is that he's that good on defense, man. He's good on defense as he is on offense, in my opinion. Giannis, hands down. Hands down.
All right, man. Another unanimous vote for this time for Giannis. Let's keep it pushing though, because we got two more awards we want to give out. Let's go with Coach of the Year next, man. Who you guys got for Coach of the Year? This is an interesting one, considering how this is a year like no other. So, Bryce, who is your Coach of the Year?
Man, I'm going with a favorite of mine, man. I feel like the coaching job that he did. I mean, it's the first year with a whole bunch of new guys, and they're brand new to him. And I'm talking about Doc Rivers. Doc Rivers.
What?
I didn't think he was gonna say that.
Oh, listen, hear me out, man. Hear me out. This is why. This is why, man. Doc Rivers was given a team that you didn't know how they were going to work. Kawhi Leonard coming in, not playing a ton early. Paul George coming in, restricted minutes at times. These are things that as a coach, if you're given two guys who are just supposed to be so great, the team can crumble around that. You got guys in that are stepping up huge. We're going to get to Sixth Man of the Year in a second, but in my opinion, they have two candidates that can win that award. That doesn't happen unless you have great coaching. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that Doc Rivers doesn't have great pieces to play with. What great coach hasn't? But Doc Rivers is again proving to me this season that when you give him pieces, he puts them in the position to win basketball games, and it puts them in the position to be winning a championship. And that's why Doc Rivers gets my vote for Coach of the Year.
All right, well, that was certainly an interesting pick that none of us saw coming. Scruff, I know you got some comments.
Yeah, that was great. That was a good pick. That was a good pick, honestly. If I had two votes, that would be my second vote. But I'm surprised that you didn't vote this person, Bryce, because honestly, I think he's done an excellent coaching job, and you probably give it to him, back-to-back years. But Nick Nurse, I think, is the Coach of the Year for the main reason that they won the championship last year, and they lost Kawhi Leonard, which is huge. Like they traded like literally their best player to get Kawhi Leonard, and then he walks, and then they're like, okay, no biggie. And then like they're just right back where they were, basically record-wise. Ultimately, we all know, three of us know, that they're not going to make a run this year, but they're in the same position to make a run without the pieces, without the best player, arguably top 5 player in the league that won the chip for them last year. I think it's an incredible job coaching. And then there's just the steps forward that all those players on the team took, and basically they're not missing a beat. So Nick Nurse has definitely got my vote for Coach of the Year.
That makes a lot of sense, man, especially with them losing Kawhi. T, jump in.
Yeah, I thought Bryce was going with Nick Nurse too, man. That one caught me off guard. Nick Nurse, man. I mean, as much as I want to say Budenholzer from the Bucks, Nick Nurse, man, he was second behind the Bucks, behind Giannis last season. He's second behind the Bucks again this season without Kawhi. So, I mean, he's getting the best out of his foreign players. He's getting the best out of the light-skinned guys, Van Vliet. Undrafted rookie Terrence Davis should probably be in the running for Rookie of the Year. He won't get it, but he deserves a nod. He's doing a hell of a coaching job. And the thing I like about him the most, his team gets after it on defense, man. Every game, they fighting and scrapping. And if you play them, it's never a off night. It's never a walk in the park. They're always going to get after it. So just being able to lose a blue chip player like that, a star like Kawhi, and keep the team intact and keep them more hungry than ever, I think it's Nick Nurse, man. You got to get a guy his flowers.
Yeah, definitely, man. Nick Nurse makes the most sense to me, especially losing Kawhi. I'm shocked, Bryce. I'm shocked, bro. Like we all thought you was going with Nick, man. That's kind of wild.
Well,
Uh,
y'all know how I feel about the Raptors, man. I really think they have a great roster, and y'all talking all this Nick Nurse, the Raptors haven't missed a beat. The Raptors look great. This, that, the third. All right, man. I want to feel that same energy when we talk about the Raptors. When I'm talking about the outlook of these playoffs, because every time I bring them up, y'all look at me like I'm crazy. So
Well, just
hey,
like Giannis winning all these awards, championship is a whole nother award, bro. You know what I'm saying? It's a whole nother battle.
yeah, most definitely, man. But let's get to the final award. Let's get to the sixth man. I'm gonna throw this one to T first, man, and yeah, let's hear it. Who you got?
All right, so this one kind of was a toss up to me. I think this could go to three guys, honestly. Lou Will is one of those guys, man. If he gets his fourth in a row as six man, it'd be a record, and he deserves it. What he does off the bench has always been consistently amazing. But I don't even know if he's the biggest contributor off the bench on his team because Montrezl Harrell, I had him on my fantasy team. The guy is a starting caliber player coming off the bench and solid minutes, both ends of the court every night. So let's just say we're not going to give it to either of those guys because they're canceling each other out. And I want to give it to somebody that's not getting as much recognition, Dennis Schroeder, the German guy, man, out there playing in OKC. They lost Russ. They got 40 wins. Rockets got 40 wins. He's coming off the bench, averaging, I think, 19 points or so. He's playing with Chris Paul, who most people don't even like. And I got to give him points for that. And I just think it'd be cool to see the German black guy win it.
Yeah, no chance. But I like that. I like that though. I like that though because they're doing their thing out there. Shout out to Schroeder. Shout out to Chris Paul. But my vote goes for Montrezl Harrell. Lou Williams, my guy though. But spread the love, Lou. You can't hog all the awards up, man. Let the brother that's eating get a chance because Montrezl Harrell, bro, putting up basically like KG numbers in my opinion. You talking about like 19, 18 a game, about like 7, 8 rebounds a game, and the dude coming off the bench is unreal. Like I know plenty of starting power forwards that don't average anywhere near that. Shoot, I know pretty much like 30 of them. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know any. I don't know many. So doing that off the bench, bro, coming in with that kind of energy, and I'll say it again. He looking like KG out there. He looking like a baby KG out there. Shout out Doc Rivers on the coaching because they done coached that boy up. I remember when he was at Louisville. He was good then. He had the energy, but they turned that boy into a pro. And yeah, he deserves all the recognition that he's gonna get this season and beyond.
I won't argue with that.
All right, so we got some real good six-man picks here, man. Bryce, who you picking?
I wish I could come with another left field one, but for six man, I'm with Scruff on this, man. To me, it's Montrezl Harrell, and it's clear cut. Y'all know how I feel about sports in general, man. Whenever a player brings a certain presence that means more than their stats alone, I think that means that it counts for something. That means something to me. And Montrezl Harrell brings that intensity and that energy that's contagious amongst the teammates. He's that guy when he gets a big block, when he gets a big dunk, everybody's getting hyped with him. You can't measure that on the score sheet, but that means something to a team. That means something to the energy and the positive vibes of a team. And Montrezl Harrell's it for me. Like Scruff said, 18 and 8 off the bench. That's starter numbers. And when you consider that he's playing with Kawhi Leonard, with Paul George, and he's doing that, getting those points, and he does mostly dirty work, that's balling. That's like on some new age Dennis Rodman type stuff. You know what I mean? So shout out to Montrezl Harrell. He's been balling. I think he's the type of guy that we'll see him expanding his game over these next couple years. I think the Montrezl we see now is not the Montrezl that we're going to see in 4 or 5 years. And I think that's a good thing. I think he's only going to improve.
Most definitely, most definitely. All right, man. Before we close this segment out, man, we definitely want to hear back from the fans on this. We'd love to hear y'all's input on who you guys think are going to win the awards. If you catch this on IG, definitely drop something in the comments, or if you're on Twitter, definitely add us, man. But we got the NBA coming up, and we will definitely be all over that, just like we were all over these awards, man. This segment got a little hot. I like it, a little heated.
So yeah, let's stay on the same topic, man. The guys that won a lot of awards, man. And this one is for the culture, baby. We got the new versus battle coming up tomorrow, man. And I know we all gonna be watching. I'm pretty sure the fans, the viewers, all gonna be tuned in. I mean, we got legends. We got DMX versus Snoop Dogg. This is a big one, man. Highly anticipated. We got East Coast versus West Coast, New York versus Cali, Pitbull versus Doberman. I even saw somebody say it's weed versus crack. I mean,
yeah.
But this is
the internet vicious, bro.
Yeah, the internet's a crazy place, man. But I know who I think will win this. I know who I have as a favorite, but I really want to hear y'all go, man. And Rome, man, you go ahead, lead us off, man. Who you got?
Man, this is probably gonna be the toughest verses yet, man. Like the styles are so different, and they're both legends, right? Like it's no shaking either one of them, man. Like I have no idea who I want to go with, to be completely honest, man. Like it almost just depends on the mood I'm in. Like Snoop Dogg has songs that fit everything, bro. Like this man has dabbled in damn near everything. And then DMX, oh man, when I say I feel DMX's music, bro, like I know y'all know what I'm saying. Like if you like DMX, man, you know what it is, man. So I don't know, man. I think it's gonna come down to the actual battle itself, man. Kind of like how with Jada and Fab, Jada kind of stole the vibe. He kind of led the whole thing, so he kind of ran with it. Whoever has the energy and whoever doesn't end up like Nelly or Beanie Man, or not Beanie Man. Y'all know who I can't think of my man who had the internet connection problems, but yeah, whoever goes the most smooth, man, like that'll be the victor. But honestly, I can't call it, man. I have no dog in the fight.
No pun intended, huh?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Scrub.
This is a tough one, man. Initially, when I was looking at the matchups, I was listening to both artists a little bit. I was kind of leaning towards DMX, man. I was, because the heat that DMX brings, he got some heat, and he bringing that joint strong. But only thing I'll say about Snoop, as I was going through his catalog, is that he's got heat like that too, classic heat. Like, but he's got so many sprinkled throughout the years that are like great features, like projects that he's done across different like genres, stuff that he's done with like Justin Timberlake, you know what I'm saying? Like he's done a whole bunch of different stuff. And honestly, the catalog length of Snoop, don't forget about the Snoop, the Rastafari Snoop. He had a song that he did with Drake, No Guns Allowed. You feel me? Little known fact, Scruff Lion, Snoop Lion. You feel me? That's my guy, man. I'm telling you, Snoop Dogg. I honestly, when I lay it all out and it comes down to 20 longevity, I think that's gonna give Snoop the edge on this one. So I think he's gonna edge him out. It's gonna be tough though, but he's gonna edge him out because of that.
Bryce, man, go ahead, jump in, baby.
No. I mean, Scrub, that you laid it out pretty nicely, man. Because that's kind of how I'm feeling. It's like Snoop does have that longevity, and I think when you start looking at these versus battles, especially for older artists, it matters how long your reign was, because relevancy is a thing. People have short memories, so if your greatest hit was from 20 years ago versus being from 10 years ago, that's gonna matter in a battle. But with that said, I think another thing that matters in these battles is energy. And I think we saw that in the Fab versus Jada battle. I think Jada's energy on top of the timing of his songs, but Jada's energy helped steal that battle for him. Now, we all know that DMX got a different type of energy. And if you get DMX behind an Instagram camera and he starts playing his own music and he starts rapping to it, he starts getting you hyped. Hey man, these versus battles are more than just who's the best artist. These are actual battles once they turn those cameras on. And if you're really trying to win, you gotta be strategic. If you're just going at it as a showcase, la-di-da-di-da, here's my best 20 songs, cool. But DMX don't strike me as that kind of dude. And low key, neither does Snoop. So I think that this battle might come down to the energy, and that could make it real interesting because we know what type of energy DMX coming with, man.
You know,
Hey man,
Snoop
you
got
make a good.
stories.
Yeah, man. Like you make a good point because I was gonna talk on that. The energy, man. DMX is a one of a kind, in your face. He's that pit bull, and Snoop really is that laid back, mellow Doberman, but he can get at you. So the energy is gonna matter. I do want to know, is there any songs y'all want to hear? Like, you know what I'm saying? Any songs y'all waiting to drop and you think can't be beat?
Drop it like hot. It's gonna be tough.
Yeah,
Hey, I want X
to make my top 5 for Snoop. That's crazy.
I want X to play Who We Be. I want to see what Snoop responds to if he plays Who We Be, man.
Yeah, X
Party
got
up.
things, man.
Gin and juice, man. Ain't nothing beating gin and juice. I don't care what DMX brings. That's unbeatable.
That's a fact.
Look, y'all out there listening, man. If you want to see the type of energy, if you're unfamiliar, just YouTube or Google DMX concerts, man. Woodstock. He's got thousands of people, and he's all vibing with them, all matching his energy level. I mean, it's pretty amazing stuff, man. I've only seen maybe Mike and maybe Rock and Roll acts do some of the same things. Yeah, like my boy P just tapped in. Rough Riders Anthem is also a classic. I mean, It's Dark and Hell Hot is the first CD that I actually purchased with my own money. Doggy Style is the first tape that I seen at school. Somebody brung it, man. They opened up the tape. They had the dogs all bent over, man. Yeah. I didn't even know what to think of it.
Classic album.
You know what I'm saying? It's classic albums, and honestly, this is really one. And I hate to be cliche, but this is really one where the culture is going to win. Yeah. You got, and I think I'm gonna just say I think Snoop will win because Snoop has so many outside of the individual catalogs, man. Snoop has so many features with every rapper, every style, man. Up until even last year, man, he's on Lil Duval song,
Living My Best Life.
Yeah, man. So DMX, I'm living my best life, man. DMX was hurt by drug addiction in jail time, so he didn't have the longevity. But like Bryce said, man, if you could bring that energy, man, you can make people feel you a little better, and that's DMX specialty. I can't wait for this one.
Yeah.
Hey, go ahead, Bryce.
I was gonna say, man, one more thing that comes to my mind when you talking DMX versus Snoop, maybe it's because I'm an East Coast guy, but DMX to me got that word play, man. Like he got that way with the words, and I think especially some of his old features, like if he pulls out money cash, I won't say the third word, but he pulls out money cash, man. Like back when he was rapping like that, man, he was just like a machine gun on the tracks, man. It was it's gonna be a great battle, man. I like T said, man, the culture is the ultimate winner.
Hey, my final point, I just wanted to say we all mentioned how the energy affects the battle. We got to keep in mind, DMX made Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer go hard as hell. I know we all seen the clip. X can bring that energy to anything, so I think it's going to be a definite win for the culture.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a win. You're talking about 2 Hall of Fame candidates, basically the Music Hall of Fame, Hip Hop Hall of Fame, DMX, Snoop Dogg. So we gonna bring it over to the real live Hall of Fame, the Gas Hall of Fame. We're gonna put our Gas Hall of Fame hats on. So we got our committee right here, Gas Hall of Fame committee. Each one of the panel members has decided upon a fringe Hall of Fame basically candidate, somebody that hasn't been inducted yet, that we wanna induct into the Hall of Fame, and we're gonna state our case for the Hall of Fame for each of these respective players. I'm gonna lead it off. I'm gonna go first. So we talking hoops, we talking basketball, we talking playoffs. I want to throw a nomination. I've seen folks on Twitter, NBA Twitter, talking about my man Ben Wallace. So I'm gonna talk about Ben Wallace and why Ben Wallace isn't in the Hall of Fame. And I'm not even gonna mention any statistics on you because the statistics don't do Ben Wallace any justice. The statistics Ben Wallace puts up is the kind of statistics that your son will put up in the game, and you come back and you'd be like, damn, that's all you did, and you'd be thinking like, yo, Pops, but I was putting in big time work, and you just don't get it. Like you wouldn't get it if you weren't there. The truth be told, that's the type of numbers that Ben Wallace puts up. Because we're talking about like his career numbers is definitely single digits. So like it's hard to vote for a Hall of Fame inductee when you're talking about guys are going up against guys that are putting up 20, 50, at least 18, 20 points a game, even guys that aren't considered necessarily scorers. Even Jason Kidd put up 18, 15, 16, 17, 18 points a game. You know what I'm saying? In good seasons. So Ben Wallace points, forget the points, forget about it. Just you got to remember presence, and you got to remember the fact that the Pistons team was a team full of underdogs, and basically they led that team. He was the leader of that team. He was the most specialized defensive force in the league. So I will say it like this: if guys like Dennis Rodman, if guys like Ron Artest, guys like Bruce Bowen, I'll mention. I don't think he's in the fame, but guys like that, they have their place in history, and I think the NBA needs to respect where defense plays in the game. Guys like in the league right now, like Pat Beverly, PJ Tucker, them guys that are literally defensive specialists need more love. So that's why I say I'm starting a campaign. Ben Wallace for the Hall of Fame. What y'all think, man? What y'all think about Ben? Y'all think he deserves some love for the Hall of Fame?
Oh yeah, man. I'm with you 100%, man. Ben Wallace, the best defensive player under 7 feet that I've ever seen. Now we got some 7-footers that were just elite on the defensive end, but when we talking about I guess Dwight Howard too. But I say Ben Wallace even better than Dwight Howard in his prime, man. Like Ben Wallace was the reason that the Detroit Pistons were as good as they were because they had that anchor. They had that anchor in that middle. And yeah, man. Another thing I was talking about was the energy that guys bring, man. And we was talking about that earlier. That's priceless, man. Ben Wallace with that fro, man. He had all them 10, 12-year-old Auburn Hills suburbanites with the fros on. He changed the whole Auburn Palace, man. So shout out to Ben Wallace. He deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, bro. 100%, man. 100%.
T, you want to go first?
I don't even want to dignify this, you know what I'm saying, with a response.
I'll speak on my man Ben. We're going to have the opportunity to
Look, man. I talk. Ben Wallace didn't even average 6 points a game. And I do think he played the game the right way, and there's something to be said about that. But also, at the same time, if my 6-year-old son came home with 5 points, we will be talking about did he give his best effort? So to have a career at 6 points per game, that's still an achievement. You still went to the NBA. I don't want to take anything away from this guy. He's a four-time defensive player of the year. I don't want to take anything away from him, but at the same time, he had a hot 6 years, and he played Shaq probably better than 95% of the guys, but numbers gotta be the determining factor as to what gets you in the Hall of Fame. I would hate to have a career, let's say a Chris Webber. I mean, Chris Webber's not in the Hall of Fame yet. Are we putting Ben Wallace? Are we really putting Ben Wallace in the Hall of Fame before Chris Webber? Ben Wallace averaged 6 points. All right, to be the defensive animal that he is, right? He averaged less than 10 rebounds a game. Chris Webber averaged more rebounds and 20 points. Why? Come on, man. If I'm Chris Wallace, if I'm Chris Webber, I'm burning the Hall of Fame down if you put Ben Wallace in it. If you put a bust in there with my man Afro all while and I averaged a dub and he couldn't even get 6 points in the league, man, no, I'm going crazy. I'm not putting
Webber
Ben Wallace.
didn't win nothing, though. I love Webber.
Not only that, Ben Wallace is an all-NBA player multiple years. He averaged 6 points and was all-NBA about 4 or 5 times. What does that tell you about how great this man was on defense? Look, I like numbers. I love numbers, man. Numbers tell a good story, but they don't tell
Wallace is not. Ben Wallace is not
elite on defense. The best.
He was elite.
The best I've ever seen.
Yeah, but I'm not putting you in the Hall of Fame for being elite one-dimensional player.
But if you're elite on offense alone, you can get in. So if someone's elite only on offense, they good. But if they're elite only on defense, they not in. It don't make sense.
Yes.
That's not fair, though. That's not right.
Yeah.
Because it's not a one-sided basketball game, and that's the problem.
Yes, man. I mean, you act like Ben Wallace was on that team by himself, man. Richard Hamilton was on that team.
Is he a Hall of Famer?
No, none of them are.
Exactly.
None of them.
You're telling me no Hall of Famers from that championship team?
None.
They were just in the running for 4 years, 5 years.
Not one Hall of Famer.
There's no champion, no Hall of Famers on there though.
The closest thing you might get.
I think Sheed Wallace. If you were to give anybody a vote, it would be Sheed. I'd say
Rasheed is the closest thing you can get. Ben Wallace is not.
He is an Hall of Famer. Like putting my ballot in. Like,
all right, I'm gonna give my vote. It's simple. It's gonna be a nod for me, and it's really just based off
behind Chris Webber.
Initially, bro, come on, bro. You're talking about before either of them were who they became, man. Ben Wallace, maybe the best defender of my era. Maybe I still put Shaq ahead of him and KG, but Ben Wallace, man, he was unreal defending the paint, unreal, bro. 4-time Defensive Player of the Year. How does that even happen? When was the last? Is that ever gonna happen again?
No, didn't Mutombo do it?
Hall of Famer. Thank you. Is it ever gonna happen? Hey, if you do that, that's basically a shoe-in. 4-time defensive player.
Nah, I'm not putting them in the same reason. I'm not putting Draymond Green in. Like, bro, you're an elite role player.
Draymond Green is Wallace, bro. If the Golden State Warriors had Ben Wallace, bro, it wouldn't even. They would probably have 6 straight chips. Stop, bro. Draymond Green is not Ben Wallace, bro. Draymond Green was disrespecting Charles Barkley, and he not Charles Barkley.
Anyway, man, I'm not even gonna bore you with none of the stats. I feel like T hit all those for me. My whole thing though was Nick's argument, man. When you mentioned, you had to be there to see it or to feel it or whatever. Like, so that's the thing. It's the Hall of Fame. It's not the Hall of Very Good. If your argument has to involve me seeing him live or being there, then it had to be Hall of Fame. You got to transcend time. Like, it can't be, you had to be in the moment to see what he was doing. Like, nah, these guys, the guy that I'm gonna present, I feel like has transcended time, and he's gonna be talked about whether he gets in or not, because that's just the level of talent that you got to possess, in my opinion, to be in the Hall of Fame. But I could go ahead and go next, man, since we nice and ready. Yeah, batter up, man. I'm gonna go ahead and nominate Barry Bonds, man. Like, so we all know baseball is not the most exciting sport, right? What's the most exciting thing in the game? Home runs. That's the most exciting thing in the game. Everybody cheers, everybody loves it. You know what I'm saying? I always buy seats in the outfield in hopes to catch a home run. It's just how I do it. So who has the most home runs in all of Major League Baseball throughout the 100-year history of the sport? Barry Bonds, 762 home runs. It's only 3 people that's even hit 700. It's only 2 people that have hit over 750. He's one of one. And they want to deny this man for steroids, when how many players have come out and taken steroids and admitted to taking steroids during the time period that he played? Was he really cheating if everyone was doing it? Is that really cheating? I don't think so. I don't think there's a reason to really deny this man of the Hall of Fame. And anybody who knows baseball, you can break down his swing. Barry Bonds has one of the greatest swings of all time. That man could hit. He was getting hits before the steroids. Now, you can make the complaint, he took the steroids, the ball started going a little further. Whatever, man. Like, you have to have the swing to hit the ball to get the home runs. I've played baseball. Hitting the baseball is the hardest thing to do in sports. If you think about it, there's no other sports where if you're 3 for 10, you did a damn good job. No other sport allows that except baseball. If you go 3 for 10 in baseball, hitting the ball, you are amazing. Barry Bonds not only hit major home runs, he hit for a high average. I believe he ended his career with a 298 average, something like that. So really, there's absolutely no reason to deny Barry Bonds. It's completely asinine. Barry's got to get in, and it's crazy because I think time is running out. I think his eligibility is actually going to run out So we're looking at a situation where Barry Bonds probably won't even get into the Hall of Fame, which is criminal in my opinion. But I think it's all good because I think he's going to transcend even the Hall of Fame. Because even if you don't put him in, who has the most home runs in the history of the game of baseball? Barry Bonds, and that is what people care the most about when it comes to baseball. So Hall of Fame or not, man, I think this one's a no-brainer.
I just want to thank you for bringing a serious contender to the Hall of Fame debate, man. Because Barry Bonds deserves to be in that Hall of Fame. If they're only keeping him out because of steroids, it was an entire era of steroids. I mean, Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa, you can't tell me those guys weren't on steroids. Mike Piazza is in the Hall of Fame. I'm not even a baseball guy and I know this stuff. And Barry Bonds has about 200 more home runs, over 200 more home runs than Mike Piazza. It's these old reporters, and it's really what's killing baseball, man. These old traditional reporters and trying to keep history and all that stuff, man. Let the guy in, man. And outside of the home runs, he could defend. He could run. Like it wasn't just I step up to the plate and crank home runs. The guy was a complete baseball player. So I like him. He's in. They should let him in, man. Let my man Roger Clemens in too. Let them both in.
You know, I agree, man. I agree. I agree with that, man. I think you know, for people that look at this as a morality issue, you got some weird morals, man. I could give a damn about steroids, especially if everybody doing them, man. Like everybody taking creatine, they take. Listen. End of the day, man. You know what this stuff does to your body. If that's what you're willing to put in it, that's the unnatural way you're willing to go. Hey, do you? We're always gonna have more respect for the guy that didn't do that. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, they always gonna get tested. When it comes out, we always gonna have more respect for the guys that did it clean. No matter what, even when he gets in, there's always gonna be the asterisk on Barry Bonds' name, steroids. So that's gonna carry it with him. We already know that. What's the point of keeping him out if we already know that? You know what I mean? Now, the one thing I will say, just to defend Major League Baseball, or at least the Hall of Fame, is that they haven't let any of these steroid guys in. These guys that have been really super connected to steroid era, they're not letting them in. So if they're not going to let Barry in, just make sure we don't let none of these dudes in, and I can be okay with it. But I do think that he deserves to be in, man. That's too many home runs to die not in the Hall of Fame, knowing you were the best hitter of all time. Like,
I mean, imagine having the most touchdown passes in NFL history and not being in the Hall of Fame.
Because of steroids. They wouldn't give a
damn. Makes no sense. No one would care. It makes no sense.
And the famous words of Tom Brady and Bill Belichick: "If you're not cheating, you're not trying."
Yeah, real talk though. Another thing, I'll back the Barry campaign. So that's 4 for 4. I'll back the Barry Bonds campaign simply because he was a Hall of Famer before he even took steroids. So any way you want to slice it, and then ultimately, if you're looking at that era and you're looking at all the greats in that era, like besides Ken Griffey Jr., I don't know any that wasn't juicing, like Alex Rodriguez, Roger Clemens, you named them. Like these guys were bigger. These guys were baseball. They made baseball huge. And like I said, Bonds is a Hall of Famer without the steroids. He was a multiple-time Gold Glover. That dude had the skill set before he took the roids. So you know we would have been in before that. So he gets my vote. Who's next up? I guess T, right? You next up, right? Who's your? Oh yeah. By the way, everybody that's tuning in, check out the poll on the Twitter. So far, we got one unanimous, and we got a split vote out on Ben Wallace. So go ahead and crowd. Go ahead and pull for Ben Wallace. Ben Wallace needs y'all votes. Jump in on the Twitter poll. T, who is your Hall of Fame nomination?
I'm gonna keep it short and sweet, man. And he's still active, but I know there might be a debate about him. But my guy Frank Gore, man. I'm not gonna throw too many stats at you. I've said it before. You hear this in sports, man. Your best ability is availability. This guy got drafted in 2005 and has been a bell cow back his entire career, man. He's not running sweeps and all this stuff. He's through the tackles. He's great in pass protection, and he's consistently on the field. He's consistently been healthy. You can't take anything away from him. He's number 3 on the rushing list, and he's still chipping away. So I'm gonna go Frank Gore.
I like that.
Go ahead, Scrap.
I'm thinking we about to say the same thing, but I think I like that, and I back that train too. And I've been on the Frank train for a minute now, bro. Because you know what I'm saying. One thing I'll say, I'm gonna quote. I'm feeling the quotes today. I'm gonna quote Jadakiss, and you can't say you nice until you show me longevity. In the words of Jadakiss. And Frank Gore, that is literally the anthem that will ride on his Hall of Fame statue is longevity. That man is continually putting up numbers, not like crazy numbers. So something needs to be said for consistency. In the story of the tortoise and the hare, my friend, that man just kept on trucking at a certain speed, and he's still doing it. And I think honestly, you put him out there this year, I think he's still gonna give you probably 500 plus yards. So people talk about Adrian Peterson because Adrian Peterson had some of the greatest seasons in the history of the NFL, but they should also talk about Frank Gore for that consistency, that longevity. You don't really see too many backs doing it like that at that age. God bless him, and he's still doing it. So yeah, definitely is my vote.
Yeah, man. At first, man, when we were talking about this in the pre-show, I was a little apprehensive on Frank Gore, but honestly, man, Gore definitely deserves it. I've always liked Gore's game, and it's a no-brainer that Adrian Peterson is a Hall of Famer, right? I don't think anyone is even going to question that. Well, Gore's got more career rushing yards than Adrian Peterson by about 1,000, and that's with AP having a 2,000-yard season. So, I mean, if you go on AP in the Hall of Fame, I don't really see how you can't go Gore. I mean, they both shown us longevity. Frank Gore's still pushing, AP's still pushing. I really just put them in the same category, man. I know Frank Gore might not have hit the heights that AP did in his career, but that longevity means a lot, especially at that running back position when you see guys not even last 10 years, man. To see a guy go 10 plus is amazing. So Frank Gore is a definite Hall of Famer for longevity alone. And then you can go ahead and get into his numbers after that.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, Ron. Frank Gore, hands down, man. You talking about third all-time leading rusher. But if he plays for 2 more seasons, he could very well be the second all-time leading rusher and overtake Walter Payton. Imagine that, overtaking Walter Payton. I mean, now he would be had the most seasons accrued in that top 5 if he did that. But at the same time, I mean, 16 seasons, you're the second all-time leading rusher. I think it's well worth it. Frank Gore is unquestioned Hall of Famer. Any guy that can adjust to errors the way he has, still find a way to be productive in the later stages. I mean, that's what Hall of Fame caliber is all about. So I definitely give the nod to Frank Gore as a Hall of Famer. I guess is it on me?
Yeah, you got the last nomination, Bryce, for the Hall of Fame, Gas Hall of Fame. Who you got?
All right, man. So my nomination for the Gas Hall of Fame is my guy, none other than Chad Ochocinco Johnson. I don't know what name he goes by these days, but we'll call him Ochocinco Johnson. That's my guy, man. Number of reasons I believe he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. First, I'll start with the period of dominance that he had. We're talking about a 3-time first-team All-Pro wide receiver, back-to-back seasons. It just doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen. He was running it in his prime. And then after that, he went. Before that, I'm sorry, he had second-team All-Pro. So, dude, been doing it. I mean, 4 straight seasons of All-Pro football. I think that matters. 6-time Pro Bowler. I think that matters. Now we'll get to the stats. I'm not going to get into all the Bengals records he has because he holds essentially every single Bengals receiving record. But who cares about the team records? What everybody's going to look at is his all-time receiving record, because when you look at the rankings, I mean, my man he's not as high as you might want to see a Hall of Fame receiver, right? He's around 35, 36 all-time receiving yards. But if you look at the names above him, they're all surefire Hall of Famers. I mean, there's not a name on that list above him that I don't think is getting in. Julio Jones, Reggie Wayne, Calvin Johnson, Antonio Gates, Michael Irvin. Like, these are guys that are above him. And don't get me wrong, even the guys right above him are questionable. Calvin Johnson's there at 31. We know he's getting in because we know he was great while he did it. Chad Johnson didn't have a crazy long career, a crazy long prime. While he was doing it, he was exceptional. So I think he deserves a gold jacket. Chad Ochocinco gets my vote, man.
Oh, Bryce, man, why you have to do this, man? Why you have to do this?
Somebody gonna have a controversial one, man. Come on, man. Let's get on the
Chad is like my hero, man. I love that man when I was coming up playing football, man. Like I don't want to have to do this, man. I don't have to do this, but you're gonna make me do this, man. He's not a Hall of Famer. Chad Johnson is not a Hall of Famer, bro. I'm sorry. I want him to get in. If he gets in, it won't happen. I'll celebrate, but it's just not going to happen, man. I mean, Antonio Brown has already surpassed him in receiving yards. Jason Witten is past him in receiving yards. Jason slow-footed Witten, man. Come on, man. Like, as much as I want Chad to be in there, and I'm glad that you mentioned his era of dominance. I really like the way that you put it. But I got to keep it real. There was no era of dominance for Chad. He was never the best receiver in the league at any point, at any given time in the season. He was never better than T.O. He was never better than Randy Moss. Any season that Chad played, all pro or not, he was not the best receiver in the game. And that's just what it is. He was my favorite at times. I had the Bengals jersey. I was rooting for him. But there was no point in time where people were really sitting there saying, Chad Johnson is the most dominant, maybe one of, not the. So I got to disagree with him in the Hall of Fame, man. I don't see it. I want to see it, but I don't.
Man, Rome. I gotta jump in and defend Chad Johnson.
Oh, thank you, Scruff. Thank you, Scruff.
I gotta jump in and defend Chad Johnson, man, because like only because of one thing you said, Rome. Because that's what really got to me. You said that he wasn't the best receiver in the league during the point where he was at his best. And I got to disagree with you because, like, that during that time, he had a couple seasons. He was at probably about a good 6 or 7 years where he was really good. But that was during the time when Randy Moss was like kind of like, you know, in Oakland. Everyone forgets about that. Like, oh yeah, Randy Moss is the greatest receiver of all time. But he was on Oakland playing like garbage for a number of years while Chad Johnson was putting up big time numbers. With the Bengals. So, I mean, and you look at other guys that were doing it during that time, bro, like Marvin Harrison, Reggie Wayne, like he was doing it during that same era, you know, and T.O., yeah, T.O. was great when he was great, but Chad Johnson, he had a year or two where he was the best receiver in the league in football, and that offense was like that. So I'll give him a little love. He's a fringe Hall of Famer, though. I'll say that. But, you know, you can't say
T.O. was better than Chad every year that he played, with maybe the exception of, like, that 1 year he was hurt, where T.O. was hurt. I think it was, like, 2005 T.O. didn't play. So I'll give you Chad over a hurt T.O., but he was never better than T.O. at any – from what was Chad's career, like 2000 to 2011?
I'll take Chad over Cowboys T.O.
No.
Absolutely.
You have to take Chad at that point. You have to take, what is that, 06 Chad to 08 Chad? You got to take that Chad. We're not talking about the 05 Chad where he's getting 1,400 yards, 9 touchdowns.
That's the Chad I'm talking about.
But even in those years, T.O. same numbers, 16 touchdowns, 13 touchdowns. Chad was just never as good as these other guys, man. I'm telling you, he was always the second fiddle.
Chad wasn't ever as good as T.O. and Randy Moss, but it's not just two guys at receiver to make the Hall of Fame. It's not like, hey, you had to be the very best the whole time you was playing. Like, nah, man, this dude had a stretch where there wasn't a receiver that was really better than him. You could say, hey, he was playing on the same level as these guys, Randy Moss, T.O., and these aren't just Hall of Fame receivers. These are all-time best receivers. So, you know, you have to be an all-time best to be a Hall of Famer. I think we start getting into another conversation, maybe.
Look, man,
yeah, you do. It's the Hall of Fame, not the Hall of Very Good. Go ahead, T. I didn't mean to throw you off.
No, you good, man. Because I'm with you, man. I've been letting these guys talk because I think the reason we remember Chad so fondly is because of how he played the game off the field. You know, the gold fronts, changing the name. He's the prototypical prima donna wide receiver. I mean, he sold tickets. I mean, we having a Hall of Fame discussion. He made his own Hall of Fame jacket and put it on the side. You know what I'm saying? He was, in my opinion, he was a poor man's T.O. when it came to that sort of antic type situation. But he's not a Hall of Famer. You guys are. If I played a lot of Madden in these days, Ocho Cinco wasn't a threat, man. You guys are missing. You guys are missing guys, man. You guys are missing receivers. Was Andre Johnson not in the NFL? Did he never play?
Great too.
Andre Johnson was good, but is you saying he's better than Chad Johnson? Like, I don't know. They got the same career.
Andre Johnson was considered the best receiver when he played. Chad Johnson does not have a 1,500-yard season. Andre Johnson has 3. There's a lot of receivers that need to get in before we
in an
start
era
talking
where
about.
they didn't throw it either.
And Chad Johnson,
What are you talking
Chad
about?
Johnson played on a lot of bad teams where. No, I will say this. Chad Johnson definitely played in an era where they threw the ball a ton, and he played on a team where
He had
they were
like 3
behind.
receivers with 1,000 yards on that team.
Bruh, he was they right because the Bengals were bums. He was behind every game, and they're throwing the ball.
No, the Bengals.
Up until Chemo Van Olhoffen rolled on my man's ankle, the Bengals was on their way to potentially a nice little playoff run.
How when the Steelers were dominating?
They weren't dominating until my man threw a touchdown and they were about to win that game, and then my man did a dirty play, rolled over his ankle. Carson Palmer was never the same, and he ended up.
Look, man, I'm gonna tell you guys that have better numbers than Chad Johnson that aren't in the Hall of Fame. Mushin Muhammad.
He has more yards. He doesn't have better numbers. He has more yards.
All right, man. Torrey Holt.
How many touchdowns does he have? How many touchdowns does he have?
62.
They matter.
62.
Torrey Holt on the Hall of Fame?
Mushin Muhammad has 62 touchdowns. Torrey Holt is not in the Hall of Fame. Roddy White is not in the Hall of Fame. Jimmy Smith is not in the Hall of Fame. Like, there's a ton of guys. Let me keep going, man. Brandon Marshall has better numbers than him. Hines Ward has. Derek Mason has better numbers than him. Calvin Johnson, he won't even get in.
Those guys aren't better than him, though.
All right, man. Rod Smith has better numbers than him. Reggie Wayne isn't in. Steve Smith isn't in. How are we putting
all better?
I'll
take Steve Smith over Chad
Anquan
Johnson.
Anquan Bolden isn't in yet. We still gotta put Fitzgerald in. Like, he's not going. And he appears to be a good guy, but he's not going. He's not.
He's probably not. He's probably not. But he's on my ballot.
Hey, one thing I'll say too. I'm really reaching on this, but one thing I'll say about the Hall of Fame, bro, is I know it's about football, but when it comes to being a true, literally an icon, entertainer, and just like a spectacle, Chad Johnson was all of that and then some. So for the entertainment points,
it didn't work for T.O.
If Chad Johnson would have retired after his last All-Pro season, he would have been a Hall of Famer.
It did not work for T.O. And I don't want to discredit Chad Johnson because other cornerbacks, other receivers will tell you about how tough this guy is at route running. But no, man, the list to get in at receiver is so stacked that Chad just won't make it. And the guys that are still playing, Julio has to get in. Like, the guys that are still playing are going to get in above him. Unfortunately, he won't get the bust in camp. But he said he got a 14-carat bust in his house. So, you know what I'm saying? He's a winner in his own mind.
I mean, the truth is, man, he was never all that, man. Like I'm telling you, man, you talking about this era of dominance, it didn't exist. You said touchdowns matter. Both Randy and T.O. have over 150 touchdowns. Chad's got 67, bruh. Like, come on, what era of dominance? He was never even really comparable with those two. T said it best. He's a poor man's T.O. And it breaks my heart you're making me do this, man. Like, I love Chad, man. Chad was my guy. But he was just never what these other dudes were. He's not even what some of these dudes today are, man. Like, I say DeAndre, Julio, like the list of people in front of Chad, man, like it's long. It's long.
Man, Michael Thomas in 99 and Madden, and Chad Johnson's a Hall of Famer, goddammit.
Get it, man. Hey, look, the whole point of bringing up certain guys, this is just for the audience, man. We want to get a good debate in, and these are guys that are standouts in sports culture. You know what I mean? And we got to debate guys like Chad Ochocinco, man. Chances are the dude won't be able to snake his way into the Hall of Fame, but hey, man, I don't want y'all to downplay his 3 years of top-notch football, top-level football.
Let the polls be shown. He has a 50% vote for a yes right now. That's all I know.
Hey, I voted once and Rome voted once.
I voted too. Tilting the poll a little bit. Probably skewed it a little bit. Hey.
Skew the data, man. Skew the
Hey,
data.
Man, I hate you did that, man, because I love me some Chad, man. I love me some Chad. He's definitely one of my all-time favorites.
Bro, he's like, you can argue he's probably the best route runner of all time. Legit.
Fact. I guess that doesn't mean anything in the Hall of Fame. And at the end of the day, man,
I wouldn't say that.
would be no fun.
It's his defense, right? People don't care about defense.
I wouldn't say that either. I wouldn't say he's the best route runner of all time either.
Hey, man, Chad, if you see this, man, I'll change my vote if you come on the show. I'll change my vote if you come on the show.
I gave you the gold jacket, bro. If you see this, man. I gave you the gold jacket.
Hey, you still the go to my heart, Chad. You still the go to my heart, man. I used to eat McDonald's before workouts because of you. But let's wrap up the show, man. Let's keep it pushing, man. It was another great episode. You know, the Hall of Fame or not debate always gets us going. The NBA talk always gets us going. We got more NBA coming up. But on the football tip, man, I want to let everybody know we're covering the ECFA, man. That's the East Coast Football Association. So definitely check us out. There's probably not going to be too many, if any, college football games going on. So Saturdays, Gas Network, man, that's where you need to be tuned into. And if you don't already know, T, let them know where they can find us.
Hey, man, they can find us everywhere. Instagram, Twitter, Spotify, Apple. We got the podcast. We got the app, man. Search for Gas Networks. We out here, man. We out here. For the new people, for the old people, comment, like the tweets, comment on IG, man. I want to know who's out there. I want to put you in the show. I want to give you the shout outs, man. But we out here, man. We out here. Subscribe on YouTube. Like and follow on Twitter. Hey, man. We out here. So good show, fellas. Some spirited debates. Let's go ahead and take it out, man, on a good note, man. Let me hear y'all. Sports for the culture.
Sports for the culture.